How often do you do things alone? But I mean, really do things alone. Hello, welcome back to another video. I hope you're good. I hope you are well. Today we are talking about why you need to be doing things alone. This video comes in a time where I swing kind of from one end of the spectrum to the other, and I'm trying to find my middle ground again. And this idea or this contemplation came to me as I went to the cinema alone for the first time in a really, really long time. And as I was leaving I saw Sentimental Value, beautiful movie. I cried a couple times and I cried right at the end of the movie. And as I was getting up, teary eyed, I was made very aware of my being alone at that moment. And I had a bit of an awkward moment walking out the cinema in tears. And I was thinking about, why is this not something I do more often? So today we are going to be talking about the importance of doing things on your own, why it can be hard, and little tips and recommendations of things to do alone on all kind of scales of confidence levels. How to kind of step out of your boundary, wherever that boundary is for the moment. We're going to start by defining spending time alone, and I found this quick little definition on the Thriving Center of Psych website, which states that being alone is spending time in solitude without feeling lonely. By shifting the narrative of being alone from being something negative to something positive, you can start to appreciate the importance of spending time alone. This quick definition really resonated with me, and this idea that what's important isn't only time spent alone, but how we view and use this time. Because I believe that spending time alone, disconnected, which is a point I will tap onto later, is the perfect opportunity for intimacy with yourself. It allows you time to reflect on your current life, on your ideas and beliefs, things you've seen, heard, read, or thought about. And it allows you also to properly reflect on the things you're doing on your own. What I mean for this, for instance, is let's take shopping as an example. When you go shopping with friends or family, obviously you're going to analyze the pieces with not only your perspective, but the perspective of the person you're with, because they will undoubtedly give their opinion, which is not inherently bad whatsoever. But when you go shopping on your own, you're left to your own thoughts, your own opinions, and you get this kind of intimacy with yourself because you have a uninfluenced perception of your opinion of the piece. This allows you to find out what you really want, what you really, really want, and what you really like. It goes for shopping, but it goes for anything else as well. If you're the kind of person who tends to be indecisive or tends to let your friends or the ones around you take decisions, spending time doing things alone is a great way to strengthen your sense of decision and your understanding of what it is you like. Because if you're on your own going to a cafe, you'll have to choose the cafe on your own. You'll have to choose what you eat on your own, and you'll be uninfluenced. And by doing this more and more, you slowly come to an understanding of yourself and your likes and dislikes, which seems like a really silly thing, but is actually such an important part of ourself, and a part that we can really easily ignore if we tend to spend all our free time with others, and particularly if we have a bit of a undecisive, go with the flow personality, which again is not inherently a bad thing, but it can lead to a certain disconnect of what do you actually want? What do you actually like? It has been scientifically proven that spending time alone is beneficial in sparking creativity, in developing new mindsets and perspectives. And studies have shown that people who spend a certain amount of time on their own tend to be happier and more satisfied with their life and reduce signs of depression. Overall, spending time alone allows you to enrich in your internal landscape and sense of self. For a lot of us, though, it can be really hard. It can be really intimidating and scary, and this comes for all aspects. If you're used to spending time alone at a cafe, for instance, it can be the idea of going to a concert alone can be scary, or the idea of going to the beach alone can be scary. There's different ways, like sometimes just because you spend a lot of time on your own doesn't mean you're completely confident in it yet. And I genuinely encourage all of you, myself included, to kind of push the boundaries on what you do alone, because it can be very easy to fall into a certain comfort zone even with your time spent alone. Before we get to that, let's discuss the reason why it might be so hard to spend time alone. I have 4 reasons for you. If you have any other reasons, let me know. We can start a discussion. The first reason is a sense of embarrassment of doing things alone. Sound familiar? Another, maybe more scary one is the not wanting to be left alone with your own thoughts. We have a feeling of boredom or an idea that being alone is boring and I'd rather just be with people. And this is more my reason sometimes. The sense that when I am alone, I'll instantly gravitate towards my phone or some kind of screen, whereas when I'm in company, I'm a lot more connected to real life. Let's reshape our thoughts and beliefs on time alone. We're gonna go in order. The sense of embarrassment. If you feel a sense of embarrassment on being alone or being seen doing things alone, I'm going to hold your hands while I say this. This is a completely ridiculous fear. But this being ridiculous is great because it means that once you understand how ridiculous it is, you can objectively reshape your narrative on spending time alone. First off, in a world of crippling social media addiction and procrastination, being out and about on your own, enjoying your life is a serious flex. Nothing to be embarrassed about. And when I was about 14, I read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, a beautiful author. And Big Magic is a kind of self-help book, I guess, on creativity, on her creative process, as well as the creative process of lots of other artists. And it touches on different aspects of creativity. And one of them is the fear of creativity or of putting yourself out there. Obviously, this is a different kind of fear, but it comes from the same understanding of this fear of perception. And in her book, Elizabeth Gilbert said something that has stuck with me ever since having first read it, which goes along the lines of nobody cares what you do. Nobody cares what you do. This might seem a bit disheartening at first, but depending on how you view it, is so liberating. It's been 6 years since I read that quote, and I'm still reminding myself and my close ones on the regular of this fact that no one cares what you do. Everyone is so focused on their own lives, on their own doings, that they will hardly notice what you do. And if they do notice, they might think about it for a split second before they move on. This means you have complete freedom to do what you want. It goes without saying, as long as it's not harmful to yourself or others. If you are insecure about being on your own, know that first off, most people, if they even notice that you're spending time alone, will think you're cool. And genuinely, most people won't notice or care. They'll have their own insecurities, their own preoccupations, and they'll be busy in their own mind. No one cares. Go out, do the thing. The second reason why spending time alone might be hard is not really wanting to be left alone with your own thoughts. And if this is the main reason you don't like being alone, I truly believe that you probably need it the most. It goes without saying that this is very person dependent, and depending on what you're going through mentally or in your life, this might not apply to you, and you might be in a space where you need community and you need distraction in a way, and I completely respect that. But I think for the vast, vast majority of people, if you are afraid of your thoughts, you need to be spending time alone. You cannot keep just numbing them out continuously because they will hit you so much harder. And it is so important to find peace of mind, find acceptance in your thoughts. If you're constantly trying to escape yourself through distractions, that's a really sad life to live long term. Is that really how you want to look back on your years, as in a constant state of distraction? And this makes me think of one of my favorite quotes of one of my favorite books and movies, in Call Me By Your Name. To feel nothing so as not to feel anything, what a waste. And that couldn't be truer. You're missing out on so many epiphanies, understandings, and such a deep connection to yourself in order to escape a couple scary thoughts. Remember that your thoughts are not hard truths. They can change with time and they do not define you. And the more time you spend facing these scary thoughts, the smaller they get. Third reason, a feeling of boredom. First off, boredom is a great and underrated thing. Boredom is the moment we come up with new ideas, ways of thinking, and epiphanies. But looking beyond that, say you want to avoid boredom or you have this idea that spending time alone is inherently boring, it doesn't need to be. You can do the exact same things you would have done with a friend, the exact same thing that you've been wanting to do on your own. Go watch a movie, go to a park, go try a new restaurant. None of that's boring since you're not boring. I think it's just a thing of habit. If you're listening and thinking that you want to spend time alone, but you just cannot avoid being on your phone when you're alone, know that you're not alone in this issue. Know that you're not the only one facing this issue. But this is a habit or addiction, perhaps, to break out of. And the only way to do that is through repetition and through challenging yourselves to do things alone, unconnected. And here, similar to the last point, what can really help is to do concrete things that keep you busy so you do not feel this need to go on your phone. All in all, spending time alone doesn't need to be sitting in a cafe and reading and studying, although there is a lot of beauty in that as well, and that's one of my favorite pastimes. There is an immense variety of ways in which you can spend your time alone, and they will all be beneficial in a different way. I'm going to give you a list of ideas of how to spend your time alone. Let me know if you have any more ideas in the comments down below. I think shopping is a really nice moment to spend alone. You're busy, you're looking at stuff, you're not waiting for your friend to get changed in the next changing room, and you're really like, you know that the things you bought is because you wanted to buy them and not because your friend kind of influenced you to. You can try eat in a fancy restaurant or any restaurant, and if that sounds too intimidating, you can go buy a little sweet treat and eat in a park or somewhere nice on your own. Cafes feel like a very safe space to be alone. A lot of people in cafes are alone, and in the cafe you can just sit and enjoy a cup of coffee or a snack. You can draw, you can read, you can write, study, knit, paint, write lists, journal. There's so much you can do in a cafe on your own. Walking and working out are a great way to start being on your own, especially if you're in the habit of working out with friends usually. I think this is a really good way to start spending time alone. Go on a run, you're busy, you won't be on your phone. You're in the moment and you're working on yourself, and your thoughts can run freely. Spending time alone in nature, obviously remember to be safe. I personally really love to go to the beach alone. It feels so reconnecting and rejuvenating. If there's something you've been wanting to do, if there's a movie you've been wanting to see, a concert you've been wanting to attend, an art exhibition, a book reading, or anything, and you don't have any friends who are interested, go on your own. That's the perfect moment. Go do the things you want to do. Don't let a dissonance in you and your friends' interests prevent you from doing the things you're interested in. Overall, I think spending time alone is super important, and especially I want to shift this idea of just spending time alone to actually doing things alone. Do the things you're interested in, and don't always think that you need a friend or someone to accompany you. It's perfectly fine, acceptable, and even really beautiful to sometimes spend your time alone. Let me know if you have any thoughts on the matter. Let me know how you like to spend your time alone. If it's something you're scared of, is there anything that's helped it? And with that, I hope to see you really, really soon. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, and yeah.